You're listening to the Behind Ears podcast, because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Expedition Roasters is the artisanal roaster of specialty Disney-inspired coffees. Why not brew some of the magic at your home? Some of our coffees include Skipper's Brew, Ghoulish Delight, Enchanted Tiki Coconut, Redhead Rum, and many other unique roasts. Our coffees are certified gluten and allergen-free and feature unique custom artwork by guest artists. Expedition Roasters offers an adventure in every bag. So start your adventure today by visiting us online at expeditionroasters.com. That's expeditionroasters.com. And Behind Ears listeners, be sure to take advantage of this exclusive offer and save 20% on your first purchase with code EARS20. That's EARS20 at expeditionroasters.com. Brew your happy place. Do you have a little one and don't want to bring your stroller from home? Have you destroyed a stroller in the past from all the wear and tear from a Disney vacation? Well, Kingdom Strollers is a great place to rent a great quality stroller at a reasonable price. Kingdom Strollers is a Disney-featured stroller provider, which means they will deliver it right to your resort, even if you're not there. Same thing for picking it up at the end of your trip. So if you're in need of an affordable stroller rental during your next Orlando trip, consider renting from a Disney-trusted stroller company. Visit kingdomstrollers.com for more information.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning into a interesting start of a Tuesday episode of Behind the Ears podcast. I am Uncle Danny, the man wearing the pink shirt. I believe that's pink. It's awfully dark over here. That is Mr. Chris. Sir, how are you doing?
So how does it feel to record a podcast by candlelight?
It is very romantic on my end over here. The reason we were having these technical difficulties is power went out about 3.5 minutes before the episode was supposed to begin. Facebook then deleted it because we didn't start on time, and then we couldn't get the show to link up, and I'm running off of generators right now, so there's always that chance of the show, me just falling off at any given moment. But I am still excited to be here. I really wish I had a candle close by so I'd light one. But besides that, how was your day?
My day is not over, and it will not be over after we're done recording. So it's
Tuesday so far.
It's a long Tuesday, but that's okay. It was one of those things where I kind of had a work revelation, so to speak, right before we were supposed to, get going, and then I'm like, oh wait, gotta do the podcast, and so I have to put that on pause. And hopefully, if everything goes right, I'll only have to work for about another hour after we're done here, but that's okay. It's just life. It's not a big deal. I love my job. I really do. I'm not even saying that sarcastically.
Oh, remind me when we get done. I'm sorry. I'm going to be one of those rude people that says something like this, but I have to tell you a funny story afterwards that I just can't say out loud, but I will forget if you don't remind me.
Now, by saying that, everybody who's listening is like, we're not going to know what the funny story is. Ah!
Unfortunately, this is a story where maybe if you meet me in person one day, and I obviously remember, because more than likely I will not remember, but if you ever bump into me and you're like, remember that day? I'll probably remember this one. But, let's talk about probably some of the most pressing news. I'll use that word.
It's time for Behind the Ears podcast news. All the news you could use around Walt Disney World. Yep, you said the magic word of the day. News.
I literally just went nuts. I was like, oh my God, what's happening on my end of the screen? I didn't hear that noise. There's this, we're going to call it still a rumor, because at the end of the day, that's all it is as of right now. But we're seeing a lot of reports that Disney has not only ordered one new monorail, they have actually ordered an entire new fleet of monorails, not a system, but the vehicles that you ride in, the ones that smell like dirty diapers or have peeling carpet, or more recent news, the door opens while you're driving.
Wow.
Please roll your eye. You're so small on my screen right now. I literally can see the roll of the eye. With all this going on, we've all been pressuring them to, obviously they don't listen to us, but we've been pressuring the idea of getting new monorails because, I mean, when were they built?
Well, a lot of them have been going on for about 30 years now, at least the current generation. And, they've had several refurbishments to both the cars as well as the track and the system, a number of times since then. But the current iteration, the current mark, as they call it, of the Bombardier built monorails, have been going on for quite some time. 1988, Ryan is kind of letting us know the exact time. So, sorry, he says 89. That's okay. I said 80s, so we're all good with that one. And
funny, I thought 78, so it shows how much I know.
Well, the original monorail setup was there, pretty much from the beginning. So this is just one of those cases where it's due. It's and back when there were some real serious technical difficulties with the monorail, you and I actually kind of speculated that they're either going to have to do a stem to stern type of overhaul on all the cars, or they're going to have to order new cars. And I think right now we're seeing that not only is it new cars, but it's going to give the monorails a new look. But it's not like a new look in a sense of something that, is going to be Disney centric. The monorail is not just a Disney thing. There are monorails all around the world. And the ones that are being considered for this type of use are they're made by Bombardier, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a Canadian company.
Mm-hmm, it is.
And by the way, Bombardier also makes trains of other sorts. They also make snowmobiles. They make, have you ever seen one of those cool, one of the, I think they make this, or at least one of their companies makes it. I think they make what's it called? The Slingshot. It's like a 3-wheel car.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Bombardier's parent company makes those as well. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. And, they make a lot of different things. So they're not just some small company. They are a big, big company. And they've been using these types of monorails in other areas all around the world. And the new design looks, let's face it, I like the current monorail. I mean, hey, check it out. The monorail is that. But I will say that the new design that is speculated, I have to be very careful about how I say that, that is speculated, I actually think is really smart looking. But here's the thing. Did you read it correctly when they said that it is proposed that the passenger configuration of a 7-car train will hold just over 1,000 people between those sitting and standing? And it was like on the upper end of 700 for sitting, and then if you included those that stand, over 1,000 people per 7-car train.
What?
Yeah, 1,000 people. That's what it said. That's what's said in the article. And I am kind of like, that is ridiculous. I mean, that's like over 100 some people per car.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
How tight is that going to be?
I don't know. And the thing is that, I mean, I'll be honest with you. If that's true, personally, I think that's a good thing, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, now here's the thing. Even if it was just a sitting configuration with 700 people for a 7-car setup, that's 100 people per car. That's significantly, well, I don't know. Let's see. Because you could fit 6, 12,
That's
18,
significantly more.
That's significantly more, probably at least 50%. And that's including people being jammed in and, standing and stuff like that.
50 people. Because you're saying if it's a 100-person car, and let's just say the app now, because the car right now is split in half, essentially.
The car right now, if you count a car as in a nose to nose, 4 doors is a car. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it a car.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, even if you count half of that as a car, you still only have, so many full cars. I think they may actually consider a half, what we call a nose to middle.
I would say max they're holding 250, 300 would honestly be my wild guess saying what they hold now.
Yeah, Ed basically mentions, he says the current ones can hold 300.
Boom, who's good?
You know, so I mean, you were right on the bit there. You know, the thing is that it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, and Amanda actually goes ahead and mentions, you know, that's without, you know, scooters, strollers, double strollers, people holding kids. So that's still a significant increase. Now, you know that they're going to have to do that through making the cars longer more than anything else.
Yeah.
You know, and you're going to have
because they can't really go wider because you still have to fit through the contemporary.
Well, not just that, but you also have 2 tracks side by side. And you know that they're not going to revamp the tracks so that they are, you know, not as close to one another. And if you ever stand like right by the window of the monorail and just all lo and behold, whoosh, you know, the other monorail goes the opposite direction. It scares the living snot out of you sometimes.
Oh, I'm sure, because I'm a big train guy. When we go on the trains all the time and that happens, oh no, no.
Yeah,
and the trains are going nowhere near as fast as these monorails are going.
Oh, I know.
Not the trains I'm on.
But you know, so here's the thing. This is going to be really cool. And the whole concept of a new monorail system, I think I'll be sad to see the older design go. But if there is a newer design that handles a whole lot more, it makes sense. Alex actually also mentioned, though, she says, but to go longer, you have to extend the platforms. That's true. That's true. So there's got to, but I bet you anybody are going to do a mix. They may have to extend the platforms. They may not run 7 cars. They may run currently 6. Like if you look at them now, it's pretty much a 6-car train. And at the same time, you know, you got to figure out what's the interior configuration going to be. Is it going to be more, because right now there's a lot of wasted space.
Oh yeah. There's
a lot of wasted space if you think about it in there. But the reason why I like the idea of such a larger capacity vehicle is that you've ever like tried to get onto the monorail at Epcot after Illuminations?
Yeah.
The line goes down, you know, down and around the ramp, go down and almost all the way back to the entrance with people waiting.
Yeah.
And they just don't hold a lot of people. And usually that's to get people back to the TTC, back to the monorail resorts, or even over to the Magic Kingdom for, you know, extra magic hours or something like that. And it's one of those cases where you got to do something about that. This is also one of the reasons why I keep on saying I've never really thought that being on the monorail for a monorail resort was all that advantageous, except for if you're trying to go to the Magic Kingdom. If you're trying to go to the Magic Kingdom, it's not really a problem. If you try to go to Epcot, it could be a problem coming home. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, that's my experience in the few times that, I've been to all the monorail resorts, and more than once in some cases. And, you know, now Christine also mentions it just means more stinky, sweaty people packed in like lemmings into shiny metal boxes. Here's the thing.
Ain't that the truth, sister?
I can't deny it, but we haven't seen any pictures of the inside, so we don't necessarily know how it's going to be. If 80% of their proposed capacity is going to be sitting, in a way that's better, in a way that's a lot safer, and, you know, kind of like what Ryan mentioned, he mentions, I love the ways that the Disneyland monorails are laid out, which is true because you pretty much everybody sits there and you sit lengthwise, like a couple different rows.
Tokyo does that.
Yeah. So it's a lot different of a methodology, and you're not necessarily standing there. You don't necessarily, you know, if you're sitting, you don't have somebody's butt in your face. Mm-hmm. At least I didn't have anybody's butt in my face. Now, Scott was actually even saying here, possibly like the monorail in the movie Tomorrowland.
But I know, to go back to one of the beginning things you said you enjoyed the modern look of the new ones that the proposed art of what they're coming out with.
Well, I think it looks pretty cool, but it's not that. You know how the monorail has a really iconic look to it, and it's been that iconic look since the beginning.
Yeah,
it doesn't have that iconic look anymore. But the thing is that they could base it on one of their current models that Bombardier has, but
it looked like what you would see at MCO, the airport, Orlando International Airport, for people who know their IRSA codes.
Yeah, true. Not as boxy because it has to go faster, so it's a little more it's a little more aerodynamic version because
Correct.
The monorail has to go at near highway speeds in some points, and it can. So. The only thing that it won't do as a part of this, and I hate to disappoint Gordon because he says he'd like to see the monorail system connect all points Disney. Unfortunately, that's not going to be a part of the plan. It's just going to be upgrading the current system, though.
So let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
So with the possibility of this happening, granted, it's not, it might not happen. It might. Let's see what happens. But since they are going to be going with a whole new fleet,
sure.
And it will be a hefty dime, even if this company decides, hey, we're going to cut you a deal because you're buying so many. At the end of the day, it's going to be extremely expensive. Do they cut costs, and do we not see said Disney in, little Disney things inside? Tokyo, the handrails, instead of like the black strap that we have,
they're Mickey ears.
They've got the Mickey handles. But even, all right, so say we don't want to copy anywhere else, because I even was going to go down the route of, are they going to wrap them like they did in Disneyland? Let's just talk generically inside. Right now, besides the outlining, used to have the logo up by the cabin that's no longer there. Right now, the only thing inside isn't the felt on the back of the walls where you sit your back to. Those have the little Disney emblems in them.
That's
the old school.
That's the old school Walt Disney World emblem. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a perfect opportunity for them to really plus the Disney-esque interior. Like Aaron basically mentioned, they'll customize them for Disney. It won't be a snub nose. And I agree. They're going to probably bring in some different types of not only aerodynamic, but Disney touches to the outside. But one thing that I'm sure they're going to want to be able to do is have the body set up in such a way where they can wrap it, like they have done numerous times to, advertise something that's up and coming, whether it be, the Year of a Million Dreams, whether or not it was the Avengers movie, whether or not it was Tron, in the Tronorail, as we like to call it. I'm sure they're going to still do that. And I would probably say that if they're starting from scratch, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a lot more tech on the inside. Having some idea of, hey, you're heading to Epcot. This is what's going on now. Showing a schedule of what's going on at Epcot for the evening, showing weather report, maybe even showing a quick 2-minute Mickey cartoon, something to pass the time, for that longer trip. I would probably say that it's going to be, I bet you any money they're going to, if they're going to have many more people, they're going to revamp, AC capacity. Maybe even make it easier to, find seats, easier to accommodate strollers, etc. And it'll probably be safer. I mean, I'm sure they're going to use any of the latest technology when it comes to, safety features. And I think all of that makes a big, big difference.
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time believing that they're going to go above and beyond with. Now, some of the things you said is not the most outlandish things in the world. I mean, whether we're seeing them on other monorails inside the Disney company and other, outside of Disney World, but some of the things sound really easy to do and not complicated and really not that cost effective. It's really doesn't cost that much. But at the end of the day, I just have a feeling it's just going to be and this is my personal opinion. I hope I'm wrong. I literally hope I am so wrong when I say this. I feel like they're just going to give you a monorail.
Well, here's a thought. Do you remember, and I want to say it was last summer, maybe, they had a prototype of a bus that was much more decked out in tech, it was therefore basically just a press day and that was it. Okay. And there was so many different pictures and videos of different lighting and, other information systems in there, etc.
I don't recall.
Okay. I'll have to look it up.
I'll look it up.
I'll have to look it up. But the interesting part is that something makes me wonder if that prototype bus was not actually being used to gain gain information about interest about higher tech and transportation, not just within buses, but something tells me that means that they were looking to possibly add tech into other modes of transportation, monorail being one of them. Monorail being their premier mode of transportation would only make sense to have it to be, the pinnacle, the, flagship of their transportation with the best tech possible. This is their opportunity to not make the monorail just a way to get from point A to point B, but also to make it an attraction similar that they're making the gondolas going to end up being transportation / an attraction as well. I just think that this is going to be the year of transportation, and once they're done there, I would not be surprised if they started revamping how the buses were lined up. And actually, Ed is helping me out here. He basically said the bus was 2016 when D23 was in Orlando. Now I recall. Thank you so much, Ed. We've got the best listeners. Let's just face it.
I don't recall that. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah. Ed is saying
it shouldn't be hard to find at all.
Yeah, but now here's the thing. Aaron basically said drivers or no drivers.
No drivers.
There you go.
I don't want to jump to, crazy speculation. According to the reliable source that we got this information from, they are supposed to be driverless. So no human behind a joystick, essentially, because I'm pretty sure that's what they use, right? It's essentially like a joystick.
It actually looks like looks like a shift handle out of a 1987 Firebird, but that's beside the point.
Okay.
So
okay. Yeah, so which is good and bad, I mean, you are relying on technology a lot. Things can go wrong. You are taking a job away from somebody, essentially, so there's a downfall to that. But, you're also taking human error out. So, I mean, to me, I don't think there's an argument either way, whether it's good or bad. I just think it's just the way it is, know?
So, I mean, this should be really interesting. I mean, I'm sure, being that this information just came out, I am sure that as more information arises, it's going to be very, very interesting to hear what the public comment is going to be to it. The fact of the matter is that I really super love the monorail. And I personally don't want to have too much change, but this is really a case where they really need to up the game. They need to plus it in its time. And I do remember when I actually got a couple of videos I was able to write up in front a few times. And it was such a cool deal. And that, and the thing is that if there's no driver, everybody's going to want to sit up towards the front, which I think is cool. I think it's going to, allow for more visually pleasing type transportation. I bet you windows are going to be bigger, so I think it's going to be really cool that way.
They might go smaller windows. I don't know.
You're saying what?
They might go smaller windows. I'm just playing devil's advocate at that one.
Why would they want to go small? Then they got portholes.
More aerodynamic.
No, this is not going to be a bullet train. It's running on the same. It's going to run on the same tracks. It's going to run on the same tracks.
So there wouldn't be an episode if I didn't derail the conversation.
Oh, I get it. Derail the conversation. Talk about monorail. That's funny.
That's not funny. Not derail the conversation and talk about a little bit of food.
Oh, how do you go from monorail to food, bro?
Because my
Seriously.
mind's always on food, so we really went from food to monorail. Now we're going back
Did
to
you
food.
not eat dinner before you got on the air tonight?
No, I was frantically trying to make sure the generator was running. A look at the Disney dishes that were coming to the Bar George at Disney Springs. Remember, it was that big wine bar. We talked about this a few weeks ago. That is, being set to open. If you haven't, heard it yet, new restaurant. It's going to be in Disney Springs. They came out with a couple dishes that they're going to be offering. But what this place is there's over 130 wine selections. It's 2 stories tall. There's a 200-seat wine bar, which is bigger, better, great. And you could serve wine by the ounce, the glass, the bottle, however else you can really serve wine. I'm pretty sure there's only 3 ways to do. I just saw that comment. That's hilarious. All right, so one of the things that they're coming out with is called, yes, people, I'm going to read off a menu. The Big Board, it's a selection of 6 artisan cheeses and 5 crafted meats that serves 2 or more. Cheese and meat. I mean, is there anything better in life than that combination? Throw a glass of wine in there, put a fork in me, I'm done. We have, this one. Now, for my Italians out there, you're going to love this one, okay? It's grilled octopus with lemon vinaigrette. Oh, mamma mia. The pictures look amazing. It's a salad with tender pieces of Spanish octopus, a result of grilling, then chilling the octopus. So you will have that still cold, like a cold antipasta taste with it, with a touch of lemon vinaigrette. So there's that. Chris, I feel like you would enjoy this.
Okay.
They have crispy mac and cheese bites.
See, I would be more of the cheese and meat platter that you were talking about earlier. I love myself some good mac and cheese bites, but it's little carby for me. But still,
they're serving it on a bed of tomato soup. If that helps anything.
A bed of tomatoes. I bet you're trying to go. They're trying to go for like a grilled cheese and tomato soup motif.
Mm-hmm. I believe that. I'm sure with a nice glass of white wine, you'd be set. They have a spiced pork cheeks. It's served with creamy 3 cheese polenta. These small bites of meaty goodness are...
What are pork cheeks?
I don't know, but that's... it's the cheek of a... I don't know.
I mean, I understand like deep fried pork skins. I understand like deep fried pig's ears, but pork cheek? Do they mean like face cheek? Do they mean butt cheek? I mean, I mean, which cheeks are we talking about here, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna have to find out. Now, this one interests me a lot. We know over at Skipper Canteen. They're saying pork chops. It's just misspelled.
Maybe. I like Aaron. I'll go with Aaron. I'll go with Aaron on this. Please let it be what Aaron say.
I mean, you're talking about CHOPS. They spelled CHEEKS. I'm just saying that's something. It's not like you missed a letter. You put in extra letters that aren't in that word.
Hashtag spell check.
And I mean, literally, E and O are on opposite sides of your keyboard.
No, I had a look. Yeah.
I looked. Don't worry about it. Okay, so over at Skipper Canteen, I know Brian, one of our listeners, he had the chance, and he posted the other day. He ate that in giant fish. They had the eyeballs and everything still in it. Did you see that? Everybody was going nuts about that thing.
I saw it.
Okay. So at this restaurant, they have a grilled whole Greek sea bass. So tail, eyes, and all on this. This one is a family style that serves 2 or more. It's light and tender whole fish is served with bean ragout and seasonal vegetables. It looks good. On the picture, it comes with some string beans, so that should be interesting. They also have an olive oil cake. This is dessert. The moist cake with rich olive oil flavor is served with candied olives and lemon. That sounds disgusting.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, candied olives. I mean, that goes from a briny tasting seed so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and candied. I don't know. I don't.
Sweetness on the back end.
Well, it's like, to me, that my palate would be confused. You
Yeah.
know? That's what I'm thinking.
So, also speaking of something new, you happen to see that you can now book fast passes for Toy Story. Now, there is a catch to that.
There's a hook, and I will tell you this. One of our friends over at the WDW community page, Jeff, actually helped do the math on this one, and I was really happy that someone did the math on this one, because I said to myself, how can this be?
Well, they opened it up, and this is for anybody who's staying club level or got that extra package for that. What is it? I know I'm going to say this wrong because I don't think it's 90 days. I only think it's 75.
No, it's 90 days.
It is 90? Okay, cool.
It's an extra month.
Okay, so it's that extra 90 days. That's who this is open to right now.
Actually, the thing that he said is that it's actually 74 days right now. And the reason why he said 74 is this. For those people who are 74 days out. How did it go? No, for those people that are 60 days out, they can book their first 14 days of fast passes if they're staying for 14 days.
Yes.
And so therefore, this is their 60-day mark, and then add another 14 days comes to June 30th. Therefore, art thou, those people that are staying that long, and this is their 60-day mark, technically they could have got fast passes.
So, like the article, I'll give credit where credit is due from WDW Magic. For example, if you have a 14-day stay arriving on June 16th, you would be eligible to make fast passes for Toy Story Land on June 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we all think, oh, it starts at June 30th. It really, if you're there till, say, July 1st, you technically can grab those. But a majority of the people still can't get them now. Now this is specifically for club level members and people who bought that.
Yeah, who are there really long time.
Yeah,
but
who remember they offered that package for club level members.
Yeah, it's basically it's $50 per person per day, and at the same time, it's a lot of people don't realize this, but most people in the United States, our maximum time that we stay at the parks is probably 10 days. Most of it's 7 to 9 days. Those that usually come over from Europe or South America, they stay a lot longer for their trips. So for them, they may be staying 2 weeks or 2 weeks or longer. And this is where it's going to benefit those people that are going to have those extra long trips, 60 days starting today. So we'll have to see how it goes. I know it's going to make things really interesting. I mean, it's going to make those that are going to be there coming up soon, it's just going to make it more impossible to get it for those first few days of Toy Story, of Toy Story Land and stuff like that.
They also did come out with the height requirements for the Slinky Dog Dash, which is their roller coaster. You need to be 38 inches tall, and the Alien Swirling Saucers a whopping 32 inches tall. They also released the extra magic hours at Toy Story Land, which I was a little shocked. Now, granted, this is all subject to change.
And the extra magic hour starts on like the second, is it? The first or the second?
July 1st.
Okay, so the following day.
Morning extra magic hours for Walt Disney World guests will be held every day from July 1st to August 31st from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. So you're getting that extra hour on the front end. Evening extra magic hours will be held on Fridays. Pay attention to that sentence. Fridays, okay? During July and August from 10:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. So every Friday in July and August, so you're going to have 8 of them. That's, I would assume 8 of them. you are getting an extra 2 hours at night and the extra hour in the morning. But for the rest of the week, as of right now, the only thing announced is the extra hour on the top end. Operating hours on opening day, which is June 30th, are currently set at 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., but moving to 8 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. throughout July and until August 25th. Yeah. These are the parking hours during Toy Story Land, so take that into account. So, interesting stuff.
It's going to be interesting, and, you know I've toyed with the idea of actually being down there for the opening. I want to be down there for the opening. I really do. But I can only imagine how mad of a place that's going to be.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to move.
No. And, the fact is that if you go there... Okay. Please, and I say this with humor, if you're down there for the first couple days, please don't say how crowded Hollywood Studios was. Because it's going to be a given. And Aaron, I didn't even mean to make the pun. I said I was toying with the idea. Get it?
I see what you did there.
That was a total complete pun by mistake, and even I missed it. I guess I wasn't very punny. I guess I should go to the penitentiary. Okay.
So I was going to make an example, and it backfired on me.
What's that?
I was going to say, this is why I'm not going, because of said ticket prices. Because me and you talked about it, and I was going to be paying like $400 and some odd just to fly down there.
And that's on your favorite airline.
Oh God, that is literally the comment I said today. The tin can in the sky, because that's all it is. They don't even give you seats. It's just some extra wood sitting around. But normally round trip, I'm usually paying about anywhere from $120 to $150 with no bags or anything like that. If I wanted to catch the first flight out Friday morning on the 29th, fly back on that Sunday without bags, without hotel, because I'm not an AP member, just to fly there, I'm looking at $294.37. So the flights have gone down. So you're saying there's a chance? No, I'm not. That's way too much money. $300 for a 48-hour trip, and you're not going to really accomplish anything.
No. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's going to be crazy insane. And by the way, that's not a criticism. That's just going to be the way it is. I'm actually not anticipating seeing anything over there until next year. And if Galaxy's Edge opens up, I'll be like, cool. Toy Story Land will be all empty. I can go enjoy that. It's just like, you know what? It's kind of like not having cable, and you wait for your favorite TV show to end up on Netflix. You're eventually going to enjoy it. It's just going to be a season later than everybody else.
Yeah, I know people are saying, like, check Frontier, check this, check that. Listen, the closest airport to me is literally 25 minutes. That's why I fly that crappy airline named Spirit. So, yeah, I'm not driving over an hour to another airport. Someone brought up an interesting point, because I know we're kind of running out of time here because we ran a little late. Where'd it go? Christine wanted to say, if you guys could design a new ride for Toy Story Land, what would it be? So you got the Slinky Dog, you've got the Saucer. If I had to come up with something new, okay, you guys are going to hate me, and I'm going to hate myself for saying this, because I know in like 48 hours, I'm going to come up with this super cool idea, and I'm going to be like, I should use this one. Right off the bat, without putting any thought into it, I'm going to refer back to the original Toy Story, and I would almost like to see, I'm going to use the dinosaur track and more of the Mummy over at Universal. So you're going to be in a car like that, and it's going to be when it could be all the different scenes where, they're hanging back onto the pizza truck, and then at the ending scene of the ride, all of a sudden you could Buzz flying with the firecracker behind him. and you're Woody and you're just flying up in the sky and then, land to the back of the moving truck and rides over. Something along that. Emotion action ride is something along the lines of that. No 3D though. Please God, no. Keep that away from me.
Oh man, I think you almost have to do something 3D though.
No, don't do it.
I think you have to. But
no, pay me. I'll dress up as Buzz and we don't need 3D.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh, that'd actually be pretty funny. I would probably say if I was going to do something, I don't know. It's actually because I'm trying to think. It's like, would I base it off something in the movie? Would I base it off of something very unique but still have all the characters involved? Would it involve all the some minor characters? Like, what about Bonnie? What about Sid? Things like that. What about the mom? Things like that. Sometimes you can go ahead and say, do you want another type of motion type ride that uses like the old Star Tours ride vehicle? You could do something like that, but that would just be like, okay. A visually stimulating, but give me a different ride vehicle. I think it would be nice to actually have Buzz and Woody do something where they are trying to actually defeat Zurg.
Defeat Zurg.
Yeah. Well, they actually try to. I mean, obviously, Zurg would have to, escape at the end or something to that extent. But something like that. I just think they would have to deal with Zurg. Yeah.
It really bothers me that these flights are so expensive.
Wow.
It irks me that Disney decided to open this literally the weekend leading up from 4th of July. Because I saw like Trisha was like, hey, if you can't, just check Frontier. Frontier was $340. I just checked Newark. The cheapest flight was $350 from United. Like,
what about Allegiant and flying into Sanford?
Nah, I'm gonna pass. Because then you gotta get a rental car. Then I gotta pay for parking. No.
Well, I actually thought about flying. I actually looked into flying Allegiant.
Really?
I did. And it turned out that I think that they give Spirit a run for their money when it comes to the amount of fees that you'd have to deal with. And then like you said, you'd have to fly into Sanford.
Oh my God, this shows you I'm a squirrel. Nick came up with a great idea.
All
right, so I'm gonna take Nick's idea and run with it. Nick said something with Sid and the Crazy Toys. You can bring it out. Sid should come out during Halloween.
Oh.
What was the toy? I don't know if the toy had a name, but it was the baby doll head on top of the metal legs that look like a spider.
Yeah.
And it had like the cut across the street. Imagine that in a Halloween, like a scary, like craziness. Oh no. No. I love it. I want it. We got it. Let's get this going here.
No, that would be funny. That would be really funny.
You got any parting words for anybody before we wrap this up?
I'm really looking forward to when it does open. I'm looking forward to when I'm actually able to enjoy it, which, let's face it, two entirely different things. I'm still shooting for it. I got to deal with some time. I got to deal with my other trips, because let's not forget, I'll be down there sometime between tomorrow and Christmas. And actually 2 trips between tomorrow and Christmas. And we'll just have to see what happens with it. Because if I go down, it's going to be a solo trip, and I will have to somehow convince the spousal support unit that me going down is a good thing. I could say I'll have to figure something out like, but honey, you could have the house all to yourself. But I think that would actually be kind of fun. So, but no, I don't have any last things to say. Do you?
No.
All right. You heard the show, and we hope you want more. Well, feel free to join us over at our social media platforms. Instagram and our Facebook page can be found at Behind the Ears Podcast. Our webpage is behindtheearspodcast.net, and our email is behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @BehindTheEarsPC. And come and join the conversation about all things Disney over at the WDW community page. Don't forget to rate and review the show over at iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us get the word out about the show. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or the Podbean app. Also, you can listen to us on Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and via Alexa and Google Home. Yep,
Well, we do apologize for the late start, but we appreciate everybody sharing the show out tonight and joining us here on another live episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. Don't forget, follow all of that stuff on social media. Have a wonderful night, everybody. I am Uncle Danny. Tuck your kids in tight, wear your seatbelts, drink that cranberry juice. See you all on Thursday.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Thanks a lot for joining us, everybody. Really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing out the show tonight. And by all means, until we meet again, we hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Thanks, and take care.